This is my entire physical TBR. I'm in the middle of a bookshelf reorganization video, but I figured we can kill two birds with one stone. We're gonna count and go through absolutely every single book on my physical TBR. Disclaimer before we get into the video, the entire pile behind me is kind of just a mishmash. It's not entirely organized, like some series can be separated from each other. I tried my very best to keep them together, but if you guys do want to see something more organized or you want to see me organizing this, then do check out that bookshelf reorganization video. But without further ado, let's get into it. The Kiss Curse, Kim Ji-young, born 1982, Pachinko, The Catcher in the Rye, Song of Achilles, Circe, Daisy Jones and the Six, A Dirty Business, The Runaway series by Devney Perry, My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, the second book in that series, The Story of a New Name, and the third book in the series, Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay, When Gracie Met the Grump, Mariana Zapata, Stalking Jack the Ripper, Final Gambit, the last book in the Inheritance series, The Stars Are Dying, and this book is also absolutely gorgeous. It is a double cover book. This is the inside hard jacket. It is absolutely gorgeous. Next are some special edition books. I have a huge problem with buying special editions, not having read them, just because the cover is so gorgeous, but it is A Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin, The Favor by Suzanne Wright. They're both from Books for Days. And then from Fairy Loot, we have The City of Stardust and Feybound. Don't worry, I'm going to be doing a more in-depth video of all the special editions I own. And then we have The Nightborn Duet by Carissa Broadbent. Next we have Sinner, Saint, and Midnight Mass by Sierra Simone. The Stopover by T.L. Swan. The Raven Boys and The Raven King. I do know that this is the first and the fourth book in the series. I literally got this for like $2 at a thrift store and this was a gift. I'm actually going to refrain myself from buying the entire series for this because I don't know if I'm going to love it. I tend to buy entire series without having read the first one. This Woven Kingdom and These Infinite Threads by Tahira Mafi. And then we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Confess, It Starts With Us. I was excited to pick this up until I read all the negative reviews and now I'm just like, I don't really know. And now I'm more picky with the Colleen Hoover books I pick up. I have An Arc of a Shadow Crown by Melissa Blair, and this is actually signed, but I don't own the first book, so I haven't gotten around to reading this yet. Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff, and this book is so chonky. Then we have The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. We have Scarlet, Crest, Winter Stars Above, and Ferris. Dark Rise, which was a cover buy, 1000%. Hench, because younger me was so obsessed with superheroes, and this one I'm still super intrigued with. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. All of these books I bought when I was younger, and I was starting to get into romance, but I still haven't read them. It is Lola and the Boy Next Door, Isla and the Happily Ever After, both by Stephanie Perkins, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. And I actually picked this one up when I was younger because I never really saw Amy as a main character. Like, you think the name is common. I feel like it's too basic of a name for authors to be using in their books. Like, I haven't seen a lot of books where Amy is the main character. And Second Chance Summer, both by Morgan Matson, My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick, my Fairy Loot edition of The Stolen Air, What the River Knows was absolutely a cover purchase. The Wicked Villains series, Learn My Lesson, The Beast, The Sea Witch by Katie Robert, books 2 to 4 of Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. We got Daisy Hates, The Long Way Home and The Great Undoing, All the King's Men by Kennedy Ryan, The Kingmaker, The Rebel King, and Queen Move, The Mile High series by Liz Tomford, Mile High, The Right Move, Caught Up, Say You Swear by Megan Brandy, Enemies by T.J. We have the Shatter Me series. I have to finish this. We have Restore Me, Imagine Me, and Defy Me. The Briar You series by Elle Kennedy, The Chase, The Risk, The Play, and The Dare. Eat Your Heart Out by Eden O'Neill. This was a cover buy and it's also special edition. This is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, which I was so intrigued by the premise of it. I didn't really like the first book I read in the series, so I didn't really continue with it, but these covers are gorgeous. Otherwise Engaged by Avery Keelan. Hopeless and Reckless, books 4 and 5 in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. The Brutal Birthright series, we have The Stolen Heir, Savage Lover, Bloody Heart, Broken Vow, and Heavy Crown by Sophie Lark. Educated, The Rosie Project, Crying in H Mart, A Darker Shade of Magic, A Conjuring of Light, and A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. Billy Summers by Stephen King, Queen of Hearts, Heart Bones, All You're Perfect, Dare You to Hate Me, Archer's Voice, which I know I haven't gotten to this, but I absolutely do want to in the near future. Most of All You, and More Than Words by Mia Sheridan, A Heart of Blood and Ashes, Carrie Soto's Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Happily Letter After, Dirty Letters, To Love Jason Thorne, I Hate Adam Connor, The Hardest Fall, and Marriage for One by Ella Mays. Books 1 to 3 in the Kings of Sin series, King of Wrath, King of Pride, and King of Greed by Anna Huang, Dr. Scandalous by Jay Salmon, Stay by Tia Louise, The Coppersmith Farmhouse, The Candle Palace by Devney Perry, Wish You Were Here, I Fell in Love with Hope, The Roughest Draft, Hook, Line, and Sinker, The Bride Test, and The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, Partners in Crime. This was a cover buy for me, but I found out it was third person. section, so I'm more reluctant to pick it up. The X-Hex, Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan, Say You Love Me by Katie Tucker, Pack Up the Moon by Kristen Higgins, The Spanish Love Deception, Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score, Lauren Asher's entire backlist, Throttled, Collided, Wrecked, Redeemed, The Fine Print, Terms and Conditions, The Final Offer, Love Redesigned, Dear Enemy, A Worthy Opponent, which is also part of the Wicked Villain series, Electric Idol, Wicked Beauty, and Neon Gods is on my TBR cart, A Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert, The Sinner, Endless Slumber, Deadly Dreams by KJ Sutton, and the first book is also on my TBR cart, Hail Mary by Andy Weir, Heartless, Reboot, which is a book I bought when I was in middle school, and I still haven't gotten to it. 5 years ago, I died. 178 minutes later, I woke up. That premise is so intriguing. This is also a book I bought when I was super young. Scarlet, Radio Silence, Before We Were Yours, and The Nickel Boys, the Shadow and Bone trilogy, Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, Ruin and Rising. We also have the Six of Crows duology, Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, and we have King of Scars and Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, Grave Mercy, The Dragon Republic. The Poppy War is also on my TBR cart. We have the entirety of the Addicted and Calloway Sister series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Wait for it, from Lukov with Love, All Roads Lead Here, Luna and the Lie, Hands Down, Colty, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, and Under Lock by Mariana Zapata. The Book Thief, which I know is criminal, I haven't read yet, but I'm going to eventually. I still really want to read this. The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and I haven't read this because my friend told me that she read it and she absolutely sobbed, and I just don't know if I can handle that right now. A Fine Balance, 1984, which is also criminal, I haven't read yet. Untamed by Glennon Doyle, Memorial by Brian Washington, and as you can tell, I have the most random and varied taste of literature. We have The Zodiac Academy, which is the first book, the second book, the third, and the fifth. I need to get the fourth one, and I haven't even started the series yet. Hideaway by Penelope Douglas, Kill Switch, Nightfall by Penelope Douglas, and the two novellas, Fire Night and Conclave, Shallow River by H.D. Carlton, books 4 and 5 in the Never After series by Emily McIntyre, Twisted and Crossed, Hush Hush by Lucia Franco, Wrath and Rain by Nikki St. Crow. Then we have Binding 13, Keeping 13, Saving 6, and Redeeming 6 by Chloe Walsh. Then you have the Selection series, which is from when I was younger, but I never got around to finishing it. The One, The Crown, and The Heir by Kiara Cass. The To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han trilogy. I remember I read this when I was younger, but I'm not entirely sure, but I bought all the books for my mom. To All the Boys I Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You, and Always and Forever Laura Jean. These next books were from when I was younger too. It is Opal by Jennifer L. Armentrout, Origin, The Unbecoming of Myra Dyer, The Evolution of Myra Dyer, and The Becoming of Noah Shaw. I thrifted this, so that explains the rip, but we have The Time Traveler's Wife, Four Dead Queens, The Kingdom of Bach, The House in the Cerulean Sea, and Under the Whispering Door by T.L. Kuhn, The Scythe trilogy, Scythe, Thunderhead, The Toll, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. And then here we're getting into my self-help fictional books. I read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell and I absolutely loved him, so I bought his entire backlist. What the Dog Saw, The Tipping Point, David and Goliath, Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. I work in finance, so there's going to be a lot of economic and finance related books too, but here's Thinking Fast and Slow, Spiritual Simplicity, my only classic, The Picture of Dorian Gray, The Book of Joy, The Art of Happiness, which was a thrift, so there's no cover. I hope she finds this by R.H. Sin. He felt unwell, so he wrote this. Watering the Soul, Homebody, Milk and Honey, and The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. Ocean Vuong's writing is incredible, and I put this on pause because I wanted to completely annotate and read and really feel the words, but I haven't picked it up since I put this down. The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Alone with You in the Ether by Olive E. Blake. Talking to My Daughter About Economy, This is How I Saved My Life. How to Own the Room, Everything Happens for a Reason, The End of Absence, Talk Like Ted, Factfulness, Grit, Assholes, A Theory, which I bought this because the cover and just the title was so funny, but I know absolutely nothing about it, and I still want to pick it up. Women Who Think Too Much, The Artisan Soul, Misbehaving, Never Get Angry Again. Oh, here's where it gets financy. The Intelligent Investor, I Would Teach You to Be Rich, The Warren Buffett Way, Psycho-Cybernetics, The Paradox of Choice, The Happiness Advantage, Happiness Project, The Monk and the Philosopher, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, The Worry Solution, Flow. That concludes all of the books that are on my bed. Next, let's talk about my TBR cart. I got one that's 2 rows from IKEA as opposed to the Target one. This is my Kindle right here. The top part is mainly fantasy, romance, romantasy, and books I want to read more urgently. And then down here is more self-help and nonfiction books. But let's get into it. Starting with our first row. The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. Assistant to the Villain. Lotus, June 1st. And Still Beating, all by Jennifer Hartman. Faking with Benefits by Lily Gold. From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. The Atlas 6 by Olive E. Blake. This is my self-published version. Fear of the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. Red, White, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which I've already read, but I really want to do a reread of. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which I've heard incredible things about, but I'm a little scared to start. A Little Life, which I'm absolutely intimidated and petrified to pick up. Even though the cover looks so unassuming and innocent, I know the trauma that comes with this book. Time for the other side. A Step into the Dark by Donna Augustine, Blindside by Candy Steiner, Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton, The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy, and I really gotta get the Dixon Rule. The Archives by V.E. Schwab. You can tell this is old because it says Victoria Schwab instead of V.E. Schwab, and this has been on my TBR since I was like 10 years old. The Deal Dilemma by Megan Brandy, Does It Hurt by H.T. Carlton, There Is No Saint and There Is No Devil by Sophie Lark, and lastly Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, which I've actually already read and is so good. I highly recommend. Okay, on to the last part. Vicious by V.E. Schwab, the first and the third book in the Nevernight series by Jay Kristoff, The Poppy War, Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson, Flowers for Algernon, which I've actually read. I just want to do a reread. I read this in middle school and it was one of my favorite books because of just how it was written, but I want to see if it stood the test of time. Stumbling on Happiness, Victed, The Confidence Code, Blink, Earthlings, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, The Courage to Be Disliked, The Happiness Hypothesis, The Surrender Experiment, The Power of Now. Last is This Shelf. Here's my Sarah J. Maas collection, and basically all of this is on my Physical TBR except Throne of Glass. I read that when I was younger. I also have the Natural series, which is The Naturals, Killer Selection, All In, and Bad Blood, and then I have the Crescent City books, The Martian by Andy Weir. Lastly, we have 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. That was everything for my Physical TBR. I did a post count, and if this number is incorrect as I'm editing this video, then I'm gonna update the new number right here. It came out to 344 unread books. I haven't read 67% of the books I own, which is absurdity. Please convince me to read my Physical TBR down below in the comments, and whichever ones were your favorites, just give me a reason to pick them up sooner. I literally physically cannot go on a book buying ban, so I don't know if I'm gonna be doing that. It's gonna take a lot from me to not buy books. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!